This episode of Bulletproof Cash Flow is brought to you by Realty Dynamics. Learn how people like you can build substantial passive income while creating wealth for the long term through real estate investing. Visit rdyne.com. That's RDYNE.com.
You know, you've got to get around people that are doing it. My boot camp is the best place to start because you've got to get an understanding, and then you've got to get into a group that is making things happen, or, you know, go to a local meetup group, meet people there, and you'll find people that already have doors. And that's how you get started is you align with somebody that's got a few hundred doors or 1,000 doors, and use the we word. You know, we own 300 doors. When you go approach a seller or broker, and that's how everybody does it. They lean on someone else's resume to get their first deal or two, and then they're off to the races. They can do them themselves, but that's how you start.
Working because you want to, not because you have to, is financial freedom. And we want to help you create that. Welcome to the Bulletproof Cash Flow Show. We're going to teach you how to achieve lifetime financial freedom through real estate investment. Your host is a multifamily syndicator and property developer. He's done deals reaching into the hundreds of millions of dollars. You'll hear from experts in all aspects of real estate investment, finance, development, and management. Everything you need is right here. This is the Bulletproof Cash Flow Show. And this is your host, Agostino Pintus.
Hey folks, ever wonder how you found this podcast? Was it LinkedIn, Instagram, a tweet? Well, here's the deal. I don't do ads. I don't do sponsorships. All I ask is that you pay it forward. If someone shared or recommended this podcast to you, do the same. A review, a mention, anything helps. Thanks so much. Hey everyone, it's Agostino. With economic uncertainty ahead, experienced real estate investors know how to navigate market downturns. Learning from past crashes and maintaining the right mindset is absolutely key. Now, our next guest knows all about these important aspects. He is a seasoned real estate investor who has owned well over 2,000 properties in his 40-plus year career. He's built a $50 million plus portfolio, lost it all in 2008, and had to rebuild it all over again. Now, he started investing at age 18, made his first million by the time he was 27, and in 2006, his net worth shot up to $17 million. But when the 2008 crash hit, he lost it all. He had to restart everything all over again. He was able to bounce back by maintaining a strong mindset, which we always talk about here, and surrounding himself with the right people, and of course, staying focused on his goals. Now, today he hosts a top-ranked podcast, Lifetime Cash Flow, and is the author of the #1 best-selling book, How to Create Lifetime Cash Flow Through Multifamily Properties. With all that, let's welcome my good friend, Rod Khleif, to the show. Rod, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, brother. Great to see you, man. So the numbers weren't quite right. I actually was worth 50 million. In 2006, my net worth went up 17 million, and then I crashed and lost it all. But
okay. All right.
Thank you for that glowing intro and the painful reminder of getting my butt handed to me in 2008 and 9. But I love the topic of today's conversation because, I got crushed by that wave. I'm surfing this one, okay? And because it's coming. I mean, I really believe we're headed for some economic pain, definitely in our market for sure, in the commercial real estate market. There's so much debt that's coming due. And, they have those people that have debt coming due have two options. They have to sell or they have to refinance. And neither one is looking good right now. Sales are down like 80%. And as you know, to refinance, they've got to meet debt service coverage requirements. If you don't know what that means it's the property's ability to service the debt. A great example, it's an annualized calculation. Let's say your property is cash flowing net income $125,000 a year. Your debt is $100,000. That's a 1.25% debt service coverage ratio, and you have to meet that to get loans right now. So operators that with the interest rates where they are having to put money in just to have a lender sniff the deal. Okay, number one. But then we've got rate caps on top of that. And the rate caps are insane. To give you some context, if you wanted a $100 million rate cap in 2020, pre-COVID, 3 years, 3%. So the rate's not going to go up more than 3% over a 3-year period. That was $23,000 in 2020. That same rate cap, forget 3 years, for 1 year, this was about 8 months ago when I checked. 8 months ago was 2.3 million. It's worse than that now. And so, it's not only do you have to put money into the deal to be able to refinance, but then you've got to come up with a rate cap. And so there's a lot of deals I think are going to go south. I mean, we won't even talk about office. I'm just right now focused on multifamily, but there's, I believe, 1.6 trillion in commercial debt coming due by the end of next year. And a lot of that debt is held by small and regional banks. I think we're going to see some bank problems too. I really do. And so, I think they're going to prop it up until the election. This is my guess. That's what they typically do. But after the election, baby, all bets are off. And so, I'm kind of excited. I'm not trying to scare you. If you're a passive investor or even an active investor, don't get scared. Get excited, because I think there's going to be exponential opportunity. And, Elon Musk was quoted as saying, they're lying to you. It's going to be a bigger crash than they're saying. Donald Trump, love him or hate him, said that it could be as bad as the Great Depression. God help us if it's that bad. But I think the proverbial what's about to hit the fan. And again, I'm getting excited. We were talking before we started recording. I've got an opportunity fund that we're rolling out here pretty quick, and we're going to take advantage of this. I'm in a lot of cash myself. It's killing me with inflation, but I'm in a lot of cash myself right now. Between that opportunity fund and my own cash, we're poised to capitalize on some of this. These distressed assets that I'm certain are going to come down the pike. And so if I'll give you, I was mentioning this before we started recording, we're looking at a deal right now that we put an LOI in on that I really thought we were going to get. I think we missed it by just a few $100,000, but it was at 28 million and we're at 20, so that's a pretty big discount. And so, anyway, I really believe there's opportunity coming and we're gearing up for it. And, and trying to let our investors know now is not a time to be fearful. It's a time to kind of get a little excited because the returns really could be exponential. I believe they will be. And so, that's, of course, the investor sentiment's very scary because they read the news and the news, of course, even paints it to be worse than it is. I remember in 2008 and 9, the news was saying real estate's going to take 10 years to recover. Multifamily rents exceeded pre-crash levels in less than 3 years. Okay, that's how fast multifamily bounced back. But I think there's going to be opportunity in a lot of different places. And I wouldn't screw with office right now, but all the other asset classes in real estate, I think, have opportunity coming. Even buying businesses, I think, is an opportunity with all the baby boomers that are retiring that have businesses that won't be able to sell. So, I think, if you look at it through that lens and you don't get caught up in the fear, then, you can really, it could be a life-changing event for you and your family if you're sitting here listening, because I really do believe, some people are saying it could be the greatest transfer of wealth we see in our lifetimes. And, even if it's just moderately mild, there will still be opportunity. So we'll see. I don't know. What do you think about all this? Do you think it's going to get ugly? You think it's going to be some opportunity?
Absolutely. I mean, there's guys I know personally. You might know some of the same folks. We know the same guys. They're in like 7 deals right now. They opted not to buy any rate caps. You mentioned rate caps earlier.
Oh, Jesus.
And all 7 of them are in trouble. Right. And I mean, I feel bad for my buddy here, my friend here, this guy I know. But at the same time, too, it's like, when you overpay for stuff and you're looking for appreciation only without the cash flow from the onset, even without a rate cap, the cash flow has to be there without the rate cap. My opinion, it didn't do the underwriting properly. So now he's going to get slaughtered. And the bank doesn't want the debt. The bank doesn't want the debt either.
Right. Of course not. No. And here's the thing, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which is conforming debt, which is the right debt to get, long-term, fixed rate, all that. They lowered their loan to value like 2.5 years ago. It went down to 70 and then 60. And so these guys were using bridge debt to get the higher loan to values because they couldn't get the loan to value they wanted with conforming debt. And they wanted to show higher returns because the less equity in a deal, the higher the returns. And so they used bridge debt, which is not there for that. Bridge debt is there to bridge the gap between a non-performing asset. You fix it up, you get it performing, and you refinance it with good debt. Well, they used the bridge debt just to ramp their returns. And now they're in deep, because that even if they've got a rate cap, I mean, let me tell you something, a 2% bump on a $40 million loan is a big deal to your cash flow. And so, that coupled with, so that's huge, but that coupled with the incredible increases we've seen in insurance, of course, taxes because of because the property valuation's going up because of these people turning these assets. And so there's a lot of operators. I met an operator, I went to Grant Cardone's Growth Con in Vegas, I don't know, 6 months ago or so. And it was a lot of fun. I paid a lot of money to be in the front row, and it was kind of cool to see Tom Brady and all those. But there was an operator there who is a freaking rock star. I mean, he is really good. And he was sweating. And this is a guy I really respect in the Texas market. And he is, he's really sharp. And I was shocked to hear that he was in trouble on a lot of deals. And this was 6 months ago, and a guy I really respect and admire. And so, I think it's pretty prevalent out there. We've seen some of the stuff in the Wall Street Journal and some of these guys that, some of these big foreclosures, but I think a lot more is happening. Now, the only little bit of bright light at the end of this tunnel, it's a small light, but the Fed has said to these lenders to work with their borrowers if they are credit worthy. That's the operative word, if they're credit worthy. So, so we may see more loan modifications and more forbearances and things like that we might normally see. But if you, like your guy with 7 properties, I can't imagine that would be deemed creditworthy. That's somebody going down the tubes. And, luckily, in my students, I've got coaching students. They're called my warriors, and something I'm very proud of. I've only been teaching about 5 years, and they own 180,000 units, I believe, that we know
Nice.
of. I've only got one deal that's going south. One deal is this, and he got screwed by a management company bad. He should have had his eye on the ball more, and full disclosure, but I've only got one out of all these so far. Knock on wood, knock on my head, whatever. I pray to God I don't get any more. We've been really proactive to help and have our students be proactive if they have any sort of an issue at all. And we've had a couple that they've had to really go in there and live at the property, get it turned around, things like that I've helped with, and some legal help. But there's only one, thank God. But yeah. Boy, I'd say, you see these articles about a lot of these big operators that are in deep stuff, big operators, like huge operators that, and then of course, that's in multifamily, that's my world, but in the office, holy cow.
Yeah. Office is trouble. Yeah.
They're in like occupancy is in the 70s. Those assets need to be 85, 90 to break even. And so a lot of people are handing keys back. And again, there's a lot of small and regional banks there. I just think unless the Fed throws another couple trillion in to bail out the commercial real estate market, then of course then we get more inflation. So it's like at some point the United States is going to have to pay the piper. Okay, I had a guy here on the show, on my show, and he was talking about the U.S. debt and how these higher rates are causing the U.S. to pay a whole lot more interest. Like if I don't quote me on these numbers, but I think they're right. It was like $600 billion in interest payment this year. Is that right, or was it?
No, I think it's got to be more than that. It's got to be more.
Well,
than
I
that.
think you're right. It has got to be more than that. But the interest was more than the IRS collects a year.
Yeah,
whatever that is. Okay,
yeah, it's going to slow down too. It's going to slow down because we're not generating any more tax receipts because people are stopping to spend money.
So,
hey there, amazing listeners! I just wanted to take a moment to express my gratitude for being part of the incredible Bulletproof Cash Flow community. You guys make the journey worthwhile. If you found some value in what I'm sharing, I have a small favor to ask. Could you please subscribe to the show and leave a review on Apple Music? Your support means the world to me. It helps us deliver quality content to like-minded investors just like you. Thanks again for being awesome, and let's dive back into it.
So again, I don't think there's any safer asset class than multifamily for a whole lot of reasons. We are a renter nation. There's a shortage of housing, so on and so forth. I'm very bullish on buying anything I can get my hands on with safe debt, with conservative underwriting, not being aggressive. And this is what I tell my students as well. This is not a time to be aggressive, but there are deals coming. And so, we're gearing up for that. And again, it's going to be real easy to get caught up in the fear of it. And so, from the mindset component, just pay attention to what you're focused on. Don't get sucked into the news and don't get me started on the freaking politics. Don't get sucked into that crap. Keep your focus on what it is that you want. Do your goals. If you go to rodslinks.com, which is my link tree, I do a goal setting workshop every New Year's Day. It's there, rodslinks.com. At the bottom is the goal setting workshop. My guide you can download is there. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. Go do your goals. People spend more time planning a freaking birthday party than they do designing their lives. That's designing your life. And, if you have your spouse do it, if you've got kids over 10 years old, have them do it. And so get clear on what you want and why you want it. I'll help you do that. Take an hour of your time. And trust me, you'll be glad you did. Then you just decide. You got to make a decision that you're going to maybe try to capitalize on what's coming and pick your vehicle. If it's multifamily, I've got a boot camp coming up. You can come to that for $100 and I don't sell anything there. So kind of a no-brainer, but if it's multifamily, but whatever it is, decide, what vehicle you're going to use and go learn it right now, because now is the time, because it's coming. If you're trying to learn it in the thick of it, it's going to be too late. You're going to buy businesses, you're going to do single family, maybe you're going to do mobile home parks, self-storage, whatever it is, learn it right now. Because you got to make relationships, you got to build relationships, you've got to know how to analyze deals, you've got to, spend some time analyzing deals so you become good at it. And so, and you've got to figure out what hat you're going to wear in the business, because, this real estate business is a team sport. And so you're going to want to focus on what you're good at, and then you hire a line or partner for what you're not good at. And so that's how this business works. But you got to learn it right away. You make that decision, and then you just take massive freaking action. I'll tell you, you gotta take that first step. Actually, it starts with that. Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith, the next step will be revealed. And that's it. And those of you that are analytical and you know who you are, and I love you, and you're very successful in this business, you can't sit and you can't see the whole path. You've got to take that first step to get moving on this, either as an active investor, or even as a passive investor. And even if you're thinking investing passively, you should get your butt to my virtual boot camp. It's January 6th and 7th. Why would you give your hard-earned money to someone unless you had a basic understanding of what it is, right? So whatever you're going to invest in, learn it. It kills me if people throw a ton of money in the stock market, haven't got a clue where it's going or what they're doing with it. Like in their retirement funds, I'm like, geez, you work your ass off for that money, and then you just give it to somebody that, maybe is just great at sales, right? And not that great at putting it in. But anyway, so you take that first step, and those of you that are analytical, and that you know who you are, and you have to check off every single box before you make a move. You can't do that here. I'll give you an analogy. You can drive all the way across the United States at night with your headlights seeing 50 feet in front of you. And you'll make it. Other people have made it before you. And you may have some obstacles, but it's the same way with pretty much anything you do. You can't see the whole road sometimes. You just have to take that leap of faith. And then, the bottom line, like I said, then it's massive freaking action. And, focusing on the fact that we live in a world of abundance. We don't live in a world of lack. The most successful people on the planet know that there's enough for everybody. The poorest people think that, that there are limitations, but there aren't. The only limitations are between our ears. And so you operate like that. You don't get focused on the news. You maintain your focus. Focus is critical, because whatever you focus on gets bigger, both positive or negative. And, for example, they asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. Right. I mean, you get the message. I get people that call me and say, how do I get out of student loan debt? I'm like, wrong question. How do you make so much freaking money that debt's irrelevant? And then you don't get caught up in the fear, because, it's going to be prevalent out there. The news here's something to remember. The news is not a public service organization. These news channels, they are for profit. Okay. They don't make money unless they scare the hell out of you. Okay. So keep that in mind. And of course, we won't get started on the censorship and the propaganda and the crap that's going through there now. But the point is, stand guard at the door to your mind. Bring in the good stuff. If you listen to my podcast, I do a clip every week called Own Your Power. It's motivational. You give me 5 minutes a week, I will juice you. Okay. There's hundreds of them there. And I'm very proud of them, and which is the main reason my podcast is, like I say, we exceeded 20 million downloads, and because people don't remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And these things make you look in the mirror and feel, but don't get caught up in the fear. Okay. And and maybe also, maybe you've got limiting beliefs that'll hold you back from taking action. When I immigrated this country when I was 6, I got thrown into school, didn't speak English, and found out what bullies were for the first time. And then my mom, proud Dutch woman that she is, sent me to school. Here, I've got them right here. Actually, hold on. Sent me to school in these wooden shoes and these leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest. So I got my ass kicked again. And, and I came up with this belief system that I wasn't good enough. It's like I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? Now, a lot of people have these limiting belief systems that hold them back. And there's a reason the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99% of them are BS, but we believe they're real. And so if you have one of these that you're consciously aware of, just drag it out into the daylight, look at it with your adult rational mind, and you recognize it's BS and you can move past it. But you got to consciously think about it when it pops up. I used to be afraid to raise my hand in front of 15 kids in a classroom, and now I speak in front of literally tens of thousands of people a year. I just had 1,200 people at an event, 1,000 people at another one. So the point is, you can get past these limiting beliefs, but you got to consciously think about it to make it happen. And a lot of people like, I'm not smart enough, I'm not analytical enough, I'm not good enough. That's what I'm talking about. But again, focus is critical, and play to your strengths. When you get into anything, your strengths are your greatest assets. Don't try to maximize your weaknesses, because if you're playing in your strengths, you're never going to work another day in your life because you're doing what you enjoy. Okay, you're happy. Right. And you'll also be passionate about it. And passion is required to influence people. And so, like I said, play in your strengths, hire a line or partner for your weaknesses, and you'll be passionate. And, if you're going to go out there and do this business as an investor or an active investor, you're going to have to influence other people to invest with you. If you're going to, do it, in any business requires you to be passionate. And then I think the last thing I'll mention is, get around people that aren't in fear. Get away from the naysayers. Your peer group is super important. So, we mentioned I lost $50 million in 2008 and 9. At that time, I was in Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership. It's a mastermind. And I was around people that were killing it in that crash. I mean, they were thriving. And they're like, get up, you puss, 50 million, schmillion. That's who you want to be around when you know what hits the fan, right? And so, get around people that want more out of life. And that's why my Warrior coaching program is so freaking successful. It's because, most of those 180,000 doors are done between warriors, because it's just everybody lifting each other up. That's who you want to get around. Go to a local meetup group. Just get in a group of people that are looking at this with the opportunity that's presenting itself, not from the fear of it. That's super critical, because who you hang out with is who you become. Bottom line, your peer group's critical. Anyway, I can come up for air here if you want. I'm just rolling there for a few minutes, but I could certainly keep going. But this is so important in what's coming, Agostino. That. And let me mention my boot camp, if I may. So it's January 6th and 7th. It's virtual. You can do it in your underwear at home. I don't sell anything there, and if you use the code Bulletproof, you can come for a whopping $97. Okay, for 2 days of training, and it's soup to nuts, this business. So if you're interested, go to rodslinks.com, RODSLINKS, rodslinks.com. At the top is my bootcamp website. And if you're driving, text the word links to 72345. Again, text the word links to 72345, and we'll send you that domain. And then when you get to the bootcamp and you check out, use the code Bulletproof for the $97 deal. And listen, if you're interested in real estate at all, you're crazy not to take me up on this, because it's not like some sales pitch or anything like that. It is full on training. And even if you're going to invest passively, for God's sakes, get a basic understanding of the business, so you don't give your money to someone that doesn't know what the hell they're doing. Okay. So again, rodslinks.com, code Bulletproof, and I promise you'll be glad you came. If you don't love it, I'll give you your $97 back after it's done. I don't mean like it. I mean love it. Okay, I'll give you your money back. No questions asked.
Well, I went to your live one years ago. I think you sent me an invite to it.
Did you?
Did you? Yeah. Back it was in Los Angeles, a while ago. Yeah.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
A long time ago. Yeah. So,
did you enjoy it?
No, it was good. It was very good. It was very good. Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
Everything you said makes total sense, because hey, listen, times are tough for a lot of folks out there, and they get into their own head and they start thinking that they suck. The story they tell themselves, they start believing it. And it's totally not true. It's certainly the situation may not be optimal, but getting around the right people, having the right mindset is 100% key.
If you look at it as an
key.
Opportunity instead of fearfully, people fear failure as well. And honestly, I lost $50 million. I call it a seminar. It was a big, expensive seminar, okay? But it's a learning experience, honestly. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. It's only a failure if you give up or you don't learn the lesson. I got to meet the billionaire owner of Spanx. Women use these undergarments that hold everything together. And she started with $5,000. Sarah Blakely, beautiful human being, and married to Jesse Isler, but beautiful human being. But I met her at a mastermind, and she told me that her dad used to ask her and her brother on about a weekly basis, "What have you failed at this week?" And I thought, what an awesome freaking question to ask your kids so they don't fear failure. Here's what you want to fear: regret. Okay. Fear being in the same place you are right now, a year from now, unless you freaking love where you are right now. That's what you want to fear. And, as far as regret goes, there was this nurse in Australia named Bronnie Ware. She was a hospice nurse. And so she took care of patients when they were about to die. And Agostino, she asked him a question. And the question was, do you have any regrets? And she wrote a book about it, something like The 5 Regrets of Dying. You know what the number one regret was? It was not living the life I could have living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. I can't think of anything worse than that, man. So don't fear failure. Fear that, okay, if you're going to fear anything. Get outside your comfort zone. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of discomfort you can take. That's a Tony Robbins quote. And I'm going to tell you, it's absolutely the truth. If you look back on anything amazing you ever did, you got a little uncomfortable. So it's going to be uncomfortable in what's coming. But if you learn something, you pick a vehicle, like I said, if it's multifamily, get your butt to my boot camp. But whatever it is, learn it and then get a little uncomfortable and go after it. And you could literally set yourself up for life, your kids, their kids, their kids, and their kids, if you capitalize on what's coming. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. No, love it. It's no one ever regrets. I wish I would have made another $200,000 or another $2 million. Someone says that on their deathbed, right? It's always they want to spend more time with their family, see their kid play baseball or whatever it is. It's always something like that. And I think multifamily realistic gets you there.
No kidding. And when you do my goal setting workshop, again, that's at the bottom of Rod's links. At the end of that, I do a weekly planning process. And it's about 15 minutes that I teach you. And this is how I manage 2 very large companies at the same time. And it's incredibly powerful, this planning process. But one of the pieces is to capture magic moments and journal some magic moments, at least on a weekly basis. I got the pleasure of having Hal Elrod, the author of The Miracle Morning, on my show just a couple of weeks ago, about when you get up in the morning, and he tells you to journal every day. But even if you just do it once a week and just journal anything amazing that happened, I promise you will thank me, especially if you have kids. I had my kids come over a couple of years ago, and we pulled out these journals, and my daughter cried, and we laughed, and some of the stuff is just hilarious because you forget so much. Anyway, you prompted me when you said, when you're on your deathbed, that's what you remember is the magic moments. And so
that's right.
I'd highly encourage you, if you have kids, to start journaling those, and you'll thank me. I promise you'll thank me.
That's right. And you could even take it a step further if you wanted to, is use like Google Docs, put it on your phone, hit record, and it'll or rather listen. You could just speak it. And it'll type it for you.
I didn't have that when I was doing it. Yeah, I agree 100%. That's even better. Throw some videos in there and stuff. Yeah, that's even a better way to do it.
Yeah,
but I'm literally looking at my journals on my shelf behind the camera here that I filled out with my kids, and they're a treasure for me. They're
so much value.
If there's ever going to be a storm here, those get taken with me. So yeah.
There's so much value there. So before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you one quick question about that deal that you're working on. To get technical now, what sort of debt do you have to get on a deal like that? I know it's a good sized deal. I'll let you talk about numbers if you wish.
You're talking about the one for 20?
Yes, that one. Yes.
Oh, that's actually an assumption, brother. That's an assumption.
Beautiful.
The operator is just in deep doo-doo, man. He ran out of money, and the place looks rough, and we have a $4 million CapEx budget, okay, which is big for that size asset, but it's $4 million. Because we're gonna have to really fix it up and improve the demographic. But it's a mile away from one of our other assets. We really like it, and so I hope it comes together. We should hear today, actually. But But if not, there's going to be a lot more. So I don't
Yeah,
care.
I mean, but you know what though? You have to know what those things are, right? For anyone out there right now that is looking to understand how to even conceptualize, put together deals like this, to understand how an assumption works, how to get qualified. Because I mean, Rod, you've done enough deals. It's not a problem for you to get qualified, but it isn't like any Joe Schmo can just go ahead and do it.
No, but see, that's the advantage of and I don't want to push my warrior program, but that's the advantage of a group like that. I don't care if it's my group, but you want to get in a group that's doing this because there'll be people in there that could act as a sponsor. I have dozens in my warrior group. By the way, if you are interested in applying to the warriors, you text the word crush to 72345, and it's an application. We don't take everybody. If I get a hint of ego, you're not in. But I mean, it's this thing's got a life of its own. So part of my job is to protect it at this point. But the point is, you've got to get around people that are doing it. My boot camp is the best place to start because you've got to get an understanding, and then you've got to get into a group that is making things happen, or go to a local meetup group, meet people there, and you'll find people that already have doors, and that's how you get started. Is you align with somebody that's got a few hundred doors or 1,000 doors, and use the we word. We own 300 doors. When you go approach a seller or broker, and that's how everybody does it. They lean on someone else's resume to get their first deal or two, and then they're off to the races. They can do them themselves, but that's how you start. But you'll learn all that if you can come to my thing or do somebody else's, whatever. But get up to speed as fast as you can. That's the one thing I want to tell you, because the clock is ticking on this thing. Yeah,
100%. Well, we covered a lot of stuff here today. What sort of bulletproof advice would you have for someone that's listening right now? Maybe they're on the fence and want to take advantage of what's going to be coming in terms of an opportunity. What sort of bulletproof advice would you have for those individuals? Having trouble finding deals? The brokers are the key to your next deal. Check out my guide that has helped me meet dozens of them. Go to guidetobrokers.com and download the guide today.
Learn whatever it is as fast as you can. I mean, I'm being redundant here, but that's the bottom line. Practice it, learn it, start building those relationships immediately, because we're already seeing the cracks and it's coming. And so, again, if you're trying to learn in the thick of it, it's going to be too late, because you've got to build the relationships. You've got to get a basic understanding of what it is you're going to do. You've got to know how to analyze whatever it is you're going to do. And then you can capitalize. And then you just got to, like Nike says, you just got to do it. You got to take action. You've got to make it happen and push yourself past the fear and past the limiting beliefs, and get around people that aren't going to be afraid of what you're doing, that will praise you and motivate you and validate you, that aren't going to be trying to pull you down. And if you have people that are trying to pull you down, sometimes it's family. I'm going to tell you, love your family, but choose who you allow to influence you. Choose your peers proactively. Most people default to a peer group that went to school with or work with. Don't do that. Go to a peer group that wants more out of life, that is driven and motivated, and that a rising tide lifts all ships. You got to be around that group.
100%. All right, guys. If you want to reach out to Rod, you reach him via his website, rodkhleif.com. So remember...
No. Rod's links. Go to Rod's
links. Go to Rod's links.
That has everything. Yeah, Rod's links has everything there. So go there for sure.
Good. All right, guys. Stay focused on your goals through the ups and downs. All right. There's so much opportunity coming. And with the right mindset and hunger, you're going to achieve real estate success. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Bulletproof Cash Flow Show. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We know we had fun. Make sure to visit our Apple Podcast page and leave us a 5-star review. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from the show. For real estate coaching, events, and resources, hit up bulletproofcashflow.com. Till next time.
No information in this episode should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Any investment opportunities mentioned on this show are limited to accredited or sophisticated investors. Any investments will only be made with proper disclosure and subscription documentation and subject to all applicable laws. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for individualized advice.